Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So the Department of Education for the Trump administration released a statement yesterday confirming that San Jose State University has been found guilty of Title IX violations. The Department of Education also investigated the alleged plot that the Mountain West Conference claimed to have investigated.
Last fall, the Mountain West hired the law firm Wilkie Farr and Gallagher to investigate misconduct allegations against a San Jose State volleyball player. Wilkie Farr and Gallagher was also hired by the Mountain West to defend that player's eligibility in court. Were you aware that this law firm was doing both duties?
No.
You were not aware. Have you ever been made aware?
I'm not going to answer these questions.
You helped set up the interviews for that investigation. I obtained some of those emails. And you're saying you were not aware that this law firm was...
Based on what I was told, exactly what one of my teammates had seen go on that night about talking about the scouting reports and leaving the net open was told to those lawyers. So that should have been sufficient evidence. And yet nothing happened. I mean, when you're going through this, these lawyers, I would pretty big chance know nothing to none about volleyball. And so I think if you were to do a good investigation on this issue, you bring in someone from an outside source that's unbiased, that can come in, evaluate film, and understand what's truly going on, and actually dig deep into what happened that night to really get sufficient evidence of this did happen. People are telling you this happened, and it's not secondhand information. She sat there and heard that conversation between Blair and Malaya. There is sufficient evidence, and they were told sufficient evidence.
Remember, there were all these boycotts that took place. There were about 6 boycotts, as some teams boycotted twice. The female players came forward and said they don't agree with having to compete against a team with a male player. And then even female players on the person's team came forward and said that even though it gives us an advantage, it gives us an edge, we don't agree with this because this is women's volleyball. Today, the US Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights found that San Jose State University violated Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972. OCR concluded that SJSU's policies allowing males to compete in women's sports and access female-only facilities deny women equal educational opportunities and benefits. I mean, this isn't surprising that they were found to be guilty of violating Title IX. In February 2025, OCR initiated a directed investigation. They looked into the fact that female students were threatened. Some were threatened with, potentially no longer being on the team. I remember Brooks Lusser, there was a lawyer who advised one of the coaches that Brooks Lusser can lose her captaincy or even her spot on the team. I remember these girls are coming to these colleges, playing for these teams with very expensive scholarships. At the heart of it, it was hanging over their head, the fact that they could lose their scholarships. And then the assistant head coach, Melissa Beatty-Smooth, was let go. She was terminated from her position as assistant head coach because she stood up for these girls, and she herself initiated an investigation into Title IX violations. She came forward with a complaint, and today she is vindicated because the Department of Education has found that there were Title IX violations. But she lost her job over this, simply for standing up for the female athletes and not giving the male athlete preferential treatment. Not to mention the fact that her house was shot at. Somebody with a pellet gun, I believe, fired a bullet that went through her kitchen window. And Brooks Lusser had to leave campus. She couldn't finish her degree on campus. She went back home to Texas and completed it remotely. And she never looked back. And a lot of female players transferred onto other teams because they didn't want to find themselves in the same position.
Fight for fairness in women's sports on full display in NCAA women's volleyball. The team at the center of it all, San Jose State University, which is now struggling after a controversy-riddled season. Several teams refused to play against SJSU over a biological male athlete competing on their squad. Now the team is facing a mass exodus. 7 volleyball players have entered the transfer portal. Several players have also sued the conference and the university, claiming they were forced to compete against a biological male without even being informed about it.
SJSU caused significant harm to female athletes by allowing the male to compete on the women's volleyball team, creating unfairness in competition, compromising safety, and denying women equal opportunities in athletics, including scholarships and playing time. Now, it's alleged that this male athlete was on a scholarship. This male athlete was chosen over a female athlete who also tried to get on the team. And she went elsewhere to complete her education. But she missed out on a scholarship. And this is OCR's proposed resolution agreement to SJSU. They are giving the school the opportunity to voluntarily resolve its Title IX violations. It requires SJSU to take the following actions: issue a public statement to the SJSU community that SJSU will adopt biology-based definitions of the words male and female, and acknowledge that the sex of a human, male or female, is unchangeable. That really shouldn't be hard for an institution of education to do, should it? These are just biological facts. Human beings can't change their sex. Ooh, that wasn't so hard, was it? Specify that SJSU will follow Title IX by separating sports and intimate facilities based on biological sex. State that SJSU will not delegate its obligations to comply with Title IX to any external association or entity, and will not contract with an entity that discriminates on the basis of sex. Restore to individual female athletes all individual athlete records and titles misappropriated by male athletes competing in women's categories, and issue a personalised letter of apology on behalf of SJSU to each female athlete for allowing her participation in athletics to be marred by sex discrimination. Wow. Lastly, send a personalised apology to every woman who played in SJSU's women's indoor volleyball from 2022 to 2024, 2023 beach volleyball, and to any woman on a team that forfeited rather than compete against SJSU while a male student was on the roster, expressing sincere regret for placing female athletes in that position. That would be wonderful if SJSU could do this. Is the institution capable of doing this, though? It depends. It depends on the people who would be responsible for ensuring that this is followed through. Are they woke lunatics who can't acknowledge biology? Or are they reasonable people? It's very simple. SJSU has 10 days to comply. 10 days. Bear in mind that these women, these female athletes, Melissa Betty Smooth, they went through an awful lot. And this went on for years.
For me, just looking back on everything and really thinking about it, I just think from the stress and how anxious I was every single day, I just wasn't eating really at all. I mean, I was maybe eating like 400 calories a day at most. And I ended up losing, like, I want to say I went from around 160 to 128 in that one semester. And so it definitely obviously isn't healthy for someone of my size to be that weight. And I ended up losing my menstrual cycle for 9 months. And so it was definitely severe. And even when I came home, like, some of my family and friends were very worried about me. And so it was something that I had to heal from as well. Yeah. Some of my friends even were like, you just looked tired all the time. Like, you just looked dead. You didn't look like yourself. You didn't look healthy. I mean, I looked like a twig. I was a twig. So yeah, a lot of people, especially, they didn't tell me at the time, but like looking back, like I even had a friend, I was able to come home for like 3 days that fall semester of my senior year. And I had a friend later on tell me that when I saw her, she literally went home and cried to her mom because she was so worried about me.
The same thing that they were doing to the athletes, they were doing to me, threatening me to fire me. So, not allowed to talk to Brooke Slessor about anything or any of the other athletes. The mental and it really started affecting me physically. The stress of that I was lying to parents and to everyone, and it was against everything I believe in. I had to do a lot of prayer and just a lot of meditation to know that I need to stay in this space, and however long I can stay there to protect the females, and that is my job right now.
Bullying, harassment, all of the things they tell us that the male athletes go through. Well, the female athletes went through it, and the school didn't care. The school told them to be kind. While they were getting harassed, while they had plots against them, plots to harm them, the school told them to be kind and to respect the male athletes' gender identity, to respect the male athletes' privacy, even though whether someone is male or female is not a matter of privacy. All people have to do is use their eyes. Among the department's findings, it determined that a female athlete discovered that the trans student allegedly conspired to have a member of an opposing team spike her in the face during a match. So the Department of Education claimed that rather than investigating this alleged plot thoroughly, they turned Title IX against the female athlete, Brooke Slusser, and accused her of misgendering. They should have been doing everything they could to protect Brooke and to look into any threats against her. Brooke alleges that both she and Melissa Beatty Smooth were made aware of a meeting between Fleming and Colorado State women's volleyball player Malaya Jones on October 2, 2024, in which Fleming discussed a plan with Jones to have Slusser spiked in the face during a match the following night. There's no doubt that this institution, it targeted the women, whether you were a female athlete or a coach. Melissa Beatty Smooth said that the things they did to the female athletes, they did to her. And also not telling her before she took the job that part of her coaching would be to coach a male athlete on the women's team.
Shortly after my arrival to San Jose State, I noticed a complete, there's something different here. And definitely then, it was very obvious, and then was told after the fact. And I moved my whole family across the country to, coach female athletes and at the highest level. And, who would ever guess this, that I would have to, in my 30 years career, have to, take on something like this. Todd Kress told me in passing, oh, by the way, because I was like, something's wrong with this picture. Oh, by the way, Blair is, trans.
A male.
Both Todd Kress and the administration, Laura Alexandra, was not allowed to talk about that, allow parents to know or anyone to know.
They never told her that. Just like they never told Brooke Slusser that she was sharing accommodation with a male athlete. They didn't even give these women the courtesy to give them a heads up and give them the option to decide for themselves if they wanted to be put into that position in the first place.
I mean, just the fact that I'm openly changing in front of this person, thinking that it's a woman, and I could have had the chance to take myself out of that situation and at least go to a different room or request to be switched to another room, and didn't. So I got that opportunity of my choice to be taken away from me.
So I'm glad this school is being held accountable. If they don't comply, more than likely they will lose federal funding. The same thing happened to the University of Pennsylvania in 2025. The Education Department came to resolutions with the University of Pennsylvania for its handling of transgender swimmer Leah Thomas, and Wagner College for its handling of transgender fencer Redmond Sullivan. However, it was unable to reach agreements with state agencies in Maine and California, resulting in department lawsuits. SJSU's response will determine the next chapter in the president's mission to save women's sports. So I don't hold out much hope in having the appropriate response from SJSU, but we shall see. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But ultimately, I'm glad this administration is cracking down on this. These women have been vindicated, and they can say that the Department of Education is on their side. The Department of Education has seen what they were put through by an institution that was simply there to provide them with education and provide them with opportunities, including opportunities in sports. But that was infringed upon or to give special treatment to men who want to be women. When this all could have been avoided if we simply stuck to true definitions of what it is to be male and what it is to be female. Stuck within the realms of reality. That's all the school had to do. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.